Hi guys, today we're going to talk about setting up and producing a good breath. So what we want to do is establish a nice alignment in the spine. What does alignment in the spine mean? Well, we're really trying to create a cylinder, and when we want to create a cylinder, we talk about the top and the bottom of the can. We want those two to be parallel. So in essence, what we're saying is the pelvic basin and the trunk need to be sort of aligned on top of each other, almost like the top and bottom of the can. That means our spine's going to be a little bit straighter, and what that's going to allow us to get 360 degrees of breathing and expand into the diaphragm and into that abdominal wall and then out. So setting that up, essentially, we're going to have the client down on the ground. Sometimes the person's going to be in a highly extended position. Sometimes they're going to be more flat. Sometimes they might be shifted, etc. So we may have to work on that a little bit. It could be restricted in a hard fashion, which might mean we're going to do some mobility work before. But let's assume for now that it's something that can be mobilized and corrected. So in Jamie's instance, let's say she was up high. What we would do is encourage her to bring that rib cage down, okay? Straighten and align her neck. And if she could do that and get into that position relatively comfortably, then I want to see where is her pelvis. And I'll ask her to action her pelvis forward and back. And sort of as she moves it forward and back to kind of become cognizant of what the middle of that is. About a middle range is where we want it to be. Now that's not a perfect situation, but if I put my fingers underneath her back, I should be able to get my fingers into the small of her back. If it's spine's stuck to the floor, there's this huge hollow that I can go under. We've got either too much extension or too much flexion in the spine. So once you've got that spinal position and that nice cylinder position, then what we want to do is encourage Jamie to take a nice inspiration, and when she inspires into her abdominal wall, she may not inspire well into the abdominal wall. Maybe she's doing it all rib cage, or vice versa, she does it all abdominal and no rib. So what we want to do is encourage her to breathe in and see what she does in that position and out, and we'll do that a few times. And if we see that she's tending to breathe a lot of rib, what we'll do is try to encourage her, just by putting our hand on the stomach or her own hand on the stomach, to try to think about expanding into the stomach, but not just into the stomach. Also, I'll put my fingers on her back, down into the hollows of her spine, and I want to feel her expand into those fingers. So sometimes we'll put our fingers there and say to the client, try to inspire so that you feel yourself pressuring into my fingers in the back. What we're trying to encourage is 360 degrees of breath versus all breath into the abdominal wall or all breath into one side or the other. Then, if she hasn't got the rib cage involved, we want to get the ribs involved a little bit. They aren't the main breathers in shallow or normal breath. But what we do want to do is just get them, encourage them to activate a little bit, and again in a 360 dynamic, not up and down forward, especially people who have been in that extension position. That type of breathing up and down is going to be what they like to do. So again, a 360 breath, expanding into the rib cage and out, and then hopefully we can get these two connected to one another so that they're happening at the same time. That's essentially what we want to do from a breath perspective. Any comments on things?
Okay.
Awesome.